Hello there folks, my name is Spoonks and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show where I break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did. Number 5 was Twisters, making $7.1 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $258 million and a worldwide total of $356 million. Twisters jumping back into the top 5 with a huge increase from the last weekend. It jumped 17% from the last weekend. Really impressive, especially when you consider that it's Labor Day weekend and it is a very, very slow weekend. Obviously, it would make sense for this movie to jump back into the top 5, take advantage of, the lackluster performances of some other movies, but it's still, increasing to this degree is pretty impressive. The word of mouth is still very, very strong. It's still hanging around in there. People still really want to see this movie, as well as the fact that it was recently brought back into 40X screens, the way that I think a lot of people really want to go and see this movie, the full immersive experience, if you will. So I think that's another case into the big increase this movie's had. But still, the fact that this movie was able to increase to this degree once again is really impressive to see. I think if it can keep going, we can see it crack 270, maybe even 370 million worldwide, 270 for the domestic numbers. This movie has just had such a really strong, solid run domestically. Internationally, as I've said many times before, it's been struggling. It's just 2 million away from the $100 million milestone. Again, I don't know what went wrong with the international markets, but it just did not have the strength that it has domestically. But still, this has been a very solid, very impressive run for Twisters. Nice to see it back in the top 5. Number 4 was Reagan, opening with $7.4 million this weekend domestically. It hasn't released internationally yet, so the worldwide numbers stays the same. So yeah, this kind of shook up the box office a little bit. It's the only new wide release that was able to crack the top 5, which is pretty impressive. Apparently this is the passion project of Dennis Quaid. He's been trying to make this movie for a while, and so the fact that the movie was able to accomplish this, I'm sure he's pretty proud of. I wasn't, as you can imagine, I don't have much to say about this movie. I didn't think it was going to crack the top 5. I thought for sure it would be like Afraid or some, one of the holdovers would maintain the top 5, but this movie was able to accomplish the impossible, I guess. And who knows, maybe this movie might leg out and be another neat little surprise to the box office. The word of mouth does seem to be a bit strong here. It got an A cinema score rating, so who knows, maybe the word of mouth will catch on. Maybe those will set the world on fire and become like this year's Sound of Freedom or something. I don't know. It's still a pretty impressive placement in the top 5. In fact, once again, the only new wide release to really shake things up in the top 5. Really impressive right there. But as you can probably tell by how I'm responding to this movie's performance, I don't have a lot to say here. I didn't really have a lot of expectations for this movie's performance. So yeah, congratulations, but then again, I don't really have much to say here. I'm not expecting this movie to last very long in the top 5, but I've been wrong before, and given the positive word of mouth and the type of movie this is, it could very well be a sleeper hit. So we'll see what happens with this movie. But as is, yeah, I'd say this is an alright opening. Yeah. Number 3 was, once again, It Ends With Us, making $7.42 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $133 million and a worldwide total of $283 million. It Ends With Us still making really solid numbers here. I think by the end of its run, it will hit the $150 million milestone. Imagine telling yourself that earlier this summer. This rom-com based off of a book that came out 2 years ago maybe, and it's making these types of numbers. Absolutely insane. I would have called you insane, and yet here we are once again. The word of mouth, the lack of stiff competition for this movie to face off. This movie has just captured the hearts of millions and is still doing that through to this very day, really. I'm not sure when the slowdown period is really going to happen, because the movie's just been holding super well thus far, and even internationally this thing is taking off, as I'm pretty sure it will cross 300 million worldwide. Again, imagine telling yourself this rom-com about domestic abuse based off of a book that came out 2 years ago, making 300 million worldwide. Absolutely insane. This book is incredibly popular, and as a result, the movie is super popular. Who would have guessed? But yes, still, there's a lot that's benefiting this movie. Like I said earlier, the lack of really big competition, the strong word of mouth, and even though the movie's faced some controversy over the past couple of weeks, it's not stopping this movie from making any less money. Really, the movie's still a huge juggernaut overall. I think we're still going to see this movie hang around for another couple weeks. We're definitely going to see this movie hit those milestones for sure. Just an absolutely fantastic run for the type of movie this is. Just job well done. Number 2 was once again Alien Romulus, making $9 million this weekend, bringing its domestic total to $88 million and its worldwide total to $283 million. Alien Romulus still doing very well for itself, definitely an improvement over the previous couple of alien related movies that came out recently, but still the difference between domestic and international box office is quite interesting. Like I said last weekend, it's kind of the opposite of Twisters, where domestically it's doing good, it's doing very good, but you could tell there's a lot more appeal internationally. It's definitely going to crack 300 million worldwide, which on an $80 million budget is still very impressive. And I can't believe I'm gonna make this comparison, but this movie's performance honestly in a way reminds me of the Garfield movie. That movie, it did good domestically, but internationally it also really took off. And that movie also didn't really cost that much. If I remember correctly, it was a $60 million budget. So both of these movies, kind of like their posters at CinemaCon this year, are related in their box office performance. I can't believe I'm making that comparison. Do with that information what you will. But yeah, still, these Alien movies haven't had the best track record prior to this. They were disappointments, and really, audiences didn't really gel with them. So the fact that this movie is improving on that alone and is reaping the rewards from it, again, $80 million budget, it's made that back domestically. It's definitely going to crack 100 million domestically for sure, 300 million worldwide. Just, the movie's still doing very well. I can't see anyone looking at these numbers and being at all disappointed by the performance. This movie has just done so well. Again, like with what's happened with and ends with us, lack of competition, the solid word of mouth. I don't want to say strong, because that belongs to it. It ends with us, but the word of mouth has definitely been solid. People are still going out and seeing it, and yeah, overall a pretty decent, good performance for this movie. Not much more else to say here. Once again, just a really solid performance overall. And finally, let's end the video off with the number 1 movie of the weekend, which was once again Deadpool and Wolverine, making $15 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $599 million and a worldwide total of $1.2 billion. So close, yet so far. It is just $1 million shy away from the coveted $600 million milestone. It's definitely going to do that by the end of the day, at least by the time this video comes out for sure, which will make it the second film of the year to surpass that milestone. We'll see if any other movies this year can accomplish that. I don't think so. Maybe another movie might get close, but I don't think we're going to see another movie do this. And it will also put this movie just roughly 50 million away from the entire domestic run of Inside Out 2. Again, we'll see if it can surpass that. I'm holding my breath on that. I don't think it's gonna happen. Again, I think it's gonna be close, but no cigar. Deadpool is just gonna have to throw in the towel and admit defeat against anxiety, which I think we all had to do before in our lives. But yeah, still, this has just been a very solid run. As you can tell, like, the movie's just done so well already. I'm running out of things to say about it. I definitely wish it had cracked 600 million, so I'd have more to say about its phenomenal performance, but I guess that just goes to show how phenomenal this movie has done. The fact that it's done so well, it's breaking every single box office record that it needed to. It has just really accomplished a lot for itself. The fact that I am running out of things to say about it is an accomplishment in and of itself. So yeah, another solid weekend for Deadpool and Wolverine. We'll see how much further this movie can go. I do believe we're heading towards the slowdown period. The hype is definitely dying down, as typical with any of these big MCU movies. So we'll see how quickly it slows down in the coming weeks. We are heading into September. Some actual competition is going to arrive for this movie to face off against. So we'll see how that affects this movie's performance, but it's not like it's going to affect it, a lot by any means. But yeah, still a really solid performance for Deadpool and Wolverine. Running out of things to say about it, except, job well done. And those were your top 5 domestic box office results for this weekend, but we're not quite done yet, as we've got another week ahead of us and new movies hitting theaters. And this weekend we have one new major wide release, that film being Beetlejuice, the long-awaited sequel to the 1980s beloved Halloween classic starring everyone's favorite ghost with the most. Yes, folks, we are kicking off spooky season with the sequel to Beetlejuice. It's finally time. And because of that reason and a lot of other reasons I'll get to in a moment, I think we are going to finally see another big solid opening here. Again, it's the start of spooky season. What better way to kick off this season of monsters and ghouls and the macabre with, the sequel to Beetlejuice. Again, that first movie is a Halloween classic. Everybody loves dressing up as the character, watching the movie every Halloween. Of course, everyone's going to go check this out to start their spooky season and see, the ghost with the most back on the big screen. But also, the marketing has been fantastic. I've been seeing so much promotions and ads for it all over the place. The buzz is super strong with this movie. I know so many people who are excited about it, talking about how they're going to even dress up as Beetlejuice when they get to the theater, and cosplay and stuff. A lot of hype and buzz is with this movie. Again, I think we're going to see one of the biggest openings of the year here. There's just a lot working for this movie. I think it's going to really break out. But we'll see how well this movie truly does, as well as the rest of the movies that land in the top 5 on the next Box Office Chat. And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you all think of the results? Were you satisfied, unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all those social media links right there. And until next time, everyone, stay sharp.